If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
Get closer, oh, get closer. I'm burning now. Just love me till you don't know how.
So we're starting off this video sinning the entire production for the sins of the director, eh? I mean, what did he do? Oh, God. Oh, geez. Well, I get the sentiment, but still, 10 sins for something the artist did outside of the scope of the art is kind of egregious, no? I mean, Jackie didn't do that shit.
Only finishing the lower third of your cool circle building.
Is it cool or not? Because if so, you're sinning something you like. Also, isn't this a Wigner semicircle? I don't know, I'm pretty shit at math.
During this opening sequence, we cut from this shady lady to this boat, then back to shady lady, then to some Hong Kong porn, back to shady lady, then onto this much older boat, back to shady lady, then onto some Hong Kong traffic, back to shady lady, and honestly, I've never felt tension quite like it.
Hey. I didn't see no Hong Kong porn. That's illegal. And trust me, I was looking.
And why does the Consulate General of the United States of America have a room dedicated to a staff meeting? Not staff meetings or meeting room, but literally a room dedicated to a single staff meeting.
This is one of those sins where you're not sure if CinemaSins is actually stupid or if they're playing up their stupidity for effect. Clearly, there is only one room that has a hyphen, which insinuates it's 606A, not a staff meeting, because, as they accidentally correctly point out, that doesn't make any sense.
The Dummy's Guide to Bombing Embassies states that upon depositing your bomb, the most sensible thing you can do is jaywalk your noticeably blonde-wigged self across a four-way intersection and then announce clear foreknowledge of said bombing to the nearest food vendor.
This sin implies that blonde Asian women are a rare occurrence, and I'm sorry, but have you been to Asia?
Also, that is a huge explosion to be delivered in an envelope of this size. It blows up half the entire floor. Can you fit that much explosive material into one legal-sized envelope?
This explosion is consistent with the size and power of C4, which can be delivered in relatively small packaging. The bomb could have also potentially had a flammable liquid similar to something like this.
Wasting Maggie Q in a literal drive-by role.
This is her second role ever, and her first mainstream role ever. She was a nobody, and nobody's got to start somewhere. I mean, how many of you knew Oscar Isaac's first real role was in All About the Benjamins?
645.
What? I want 645.
What are you talking about? You said load the 67.
You know the difference between 67 and 645?
Yes, I do.
Frank fucking Chester. My name is Frank! That was my CD. Don't you ever touch a Chinese man's CD.
Is that a thing? Man, I didn't realize how much I needed to brush up on my racial stereotypes. Glad there's a movie like this to help educate us all.
Grown. You're doing the thing where you attempt to contextualize old movies with today's standards, and you should know as a consumer of film that this is an incredibly stupid thing to do. It's also missing the clear callback to the first film where Lee was told not to touch a black man's radio back in Los Angeles. This is clear character growth told through comedy.
Ricky 聽做嘅。如果你唔想接呢單 case 咧，我會明白嘅。
Lee is given a potential out because his father was killed by Ricky Tan. But why offer him the case in the first place, given the obvious conflict of interest and potential trauma this might... Damn it! I'm doing that thing where I apply real-world logic to action movies again, aren't I?
Yep. And it's a wonder you still sin the movie for this, given your realization that you're not supposed to do this. A lot of Star Wars fans need to learn this lesson too, but I digress. Lee was offered the chance because Ricky killed his father, and we're told his father is why Lee becomes an inspector in the first place.
Did you just take another damn case on my vacation, man?
Of course not.
Lee will now go through a ton of unnecessary trouble maintaining this lie, instead of being an actual human being and saying, sorry man, your embassy was just bombed, want to help me catch the people who did it? By the way, they also killed my dad. This movie wants to plot you hard and fast right now, and it's not worried at all about lubricating with any actual character consistency.
But Carter just said Lee has done this multiple times already and is clearly annoyed by this. It makes sense that Lee would not want to outright tell Carter this information when he's supposed to be giving him a tour of Hong Kong. I have no idea why you think this is an inconsistency. Carter is here as a civilian. Who the hell wants to work after flying over 12 hours from LA to Asia? Me, apparently.
I will slap you so hard you end up in the Ming Dynasty.
Looks like casual racism will be the third returning character in this sequel, and will be leaned on so much it should have top billing.
Isn't it funny how of the three racial groups in this situation, the white one is the one offended? Because I speak for all black and Asian people when I say we all enjoyed this and found this funny.
They don't like tourists in here, so try to blend in.
Characters told to blend in and then decides to do the exact opposite and become the center of attention cliche.
I see this is your first Rush Hour movie, even though Fugazi Birdman told me he already sent your Rush Hour 1 video a few years ago. By the way, how does that work, my dude? Is this not a different CinemaSins since you're from an alternate universe? I was told by Ascended Birdman that CinemaSins is the one constant. That although there are other versions of CinemaSins throughout the multiverse, as we saw in the Everything Everywhere All at Once video, this normal version of CinemaSins is present in every multiverse that we Birdmen can traverse. So there's something like a beacon of stupidity across the cosmos, a canon event, if you will. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ass-ended Birdman? I mean, I get it's Pride Month, but what kind of name is that?
Till you don't know how.
Movie dedicates far too much time filming Chris Tucker instead of James Carter.
I don't think Jeremy got the memo that when you go to see a Rush Hour movie, you're going for the martial arts of Jackie Chan and the comedy from the comedian Chris Tucker. It's nearly the exact dynamic of Bad Boys.
This is a completely different set of women than Carter was just dancing with. For instance, where did that girl in the red dress go that I noticed for no reason? Continuity's important.
What can I say? Carter got hosed.
This is a gangster bar. We are here undercover.
Why are you mad at him? He didn't know you were undercover. Okay, he'd likely make an ass of himself even if he did know, but this is very much on you, Lee.
Well, he did tell Carter they didn't like tourists and to blend in. He may not have given Carter the reason he told him that, but he did tell him not to act like a typical Western tourist in Asia. You know, like this lady.
عشان كذي اليابانيين يتشكون من السياح.
You can't do that.
شوفوا شوفوا شوفوا.
You can't do that. Oh my goodness. That's so rude.
I'm from Los Angeles. We invented gangs.
I'm not going to sin this purposeful ignorance. However, I will sin that yet another movie is going with the old standbys of either the Triads, the Yakuza, or the Mafia. Pick a new gang. Did you know London in the early 19th century had an all-female gang called the 40 Elephants that operated for over a century? You have so many choices.
Yeah, but you know a very important part of that calculus, Jeremy? This is not London in the early 19th century. The Triads operate in Asia, so they make sense as the gang you'd use to tell the story in Hong Kong.
What did I just say?
You just ask everybody to pick up their samurai swords and shave your butt.
How is that a thing you accidentally say in a language you don't know?
Although this situation is unlikely, thus making it funny, Chinese, in this case Cantonese, is a tonal language. Now, I studied Mandarin like 15 years ago, so I'm not the best to ask, but I do know that tones matter a hell of a lot in Chinese, and if you don't get them right, you will be saying something completely different than you intended. That's the joke.
All the triads and the ugly women on this side, and all the fine women on this side right now.
It takes a truly artful level of writing and delivery to be this offensive while also being this not funny.
Such a hateful tone towards Will Smith you've taken. All right, that line was written by future Birdman. I'm told the day ones will get it if they've watched his Rush Hour video. Follow the link, I don't know.
So this guy runs to the back area and presumably tells Hu Lee that Detective Lee is here, and her immediate plan is to run through this curtain, make sure she's spotted by Lee, and then run back the way she came? Why the f*** didn't she just run away to start with?
I don't know why, but the way you just said her name could have meant mutually beneficial. You just asked why didn't mutually beneficial run away, which doesn't make any sense and is why tones are important in Chinese.
俾老做啊！
She really looked left and right and then said, let's climb the bamboo scaffolding. That's the quickest way out of here for sure.
I agree. Climbing bamboo is kind of ridiculous, but not quite as ridiculous as that f***ing laugh.
Oh, hell no.
Being a grown-ass adult, still requiring a practical demonstration of how gravity works.
Got him.
Just shy of his 50th birthday, being Jackie Chan. F***ing legend.
I mean, I agree, don't get me wrong. I assume he can still do this at 70. But why are you praising Jackie for being good at what he does, and yet constantly chiding Chris Tucker for what he does? I can't quite put my finger on the difference between these two. I guess we'll never know.
Hu Lee will show mercy instead of killing them both right now, because we're only at the start of the movie.
Oriental White Oak will show mercy instead of killing them? What?
Don't worry, Chinese bamboo is very strong.
Premature tensile strength abrasion.
Well, technically it wasn't the bamboo that gave way. It was those zip ties.
Lee has the good fortune of being played by Jackie Chan, but Carter has no such excuse, and therefore earns a survives this.
See what I mean? Jeremy has a specific problem with Chris Tucker, and he's just as legendary in his field as Jackie is in his. You know, comedy. The thing that is happening here with these two comically falling through a street food stand.
I can't believe you lied to me, man.
When exactly is this scene happening? The bamboo chase clearly took place at night, and it's day now. So why are they in the same clothes? Why are they only now talking about what happened? Did they just stay up all night driving around Hong Kong in silence?
This scene is taking place in the early morning because the previous scene was late at night, very likely close to sunrise. See? That was easy, right?
Yeah, my American friend.
Did he just grab her wrist? What the f? The movie thinks it's telling cultural fish out of water jokes, but that's not a cultural faux pas, that's a basic human decency faux pas.
While I do agree, and personally will never do this, he was grabbing her hand in a chivalry attempt. Men used to do this regularly to attempt to kiss the hand of a beautiful woman, and in this context was Carter attempting to hit on a woman he was attracted to. They're also in Asia, and trust me, a man grabbing a woman's hand or wrist is very common.
Yearbook photos.
Well, whatever school this is, Future Birdman, use that rock and send my ass there, because this looks like the plot of Prison School. And I do like root beer.
You pick any girl for you and your friend.
Movie seems to think that if it drags out Carter f***ing these women long enough, it will somehow make my boner relevant to the plot.
Maybe not relevant to the plot, but definitely relevant to these 10 sins.
Well, hurry up.
Man, what's wrong with you? You don't jump in front of a black man in a buffet line.
I'm sorry, but buffets are the wild west of food lines. There is no system. I once saw a guy grab an ice cream cone and start loading tapioca pudding on it before asking his friend to toss him a crouton from across the room to top it off. Pure anarchy.
Notice he said, a black man. Now, I don't know what kind of hairline deficient knee-grows you know, but I for one have never seen one of us put croutons on pudding. That sounds about white.
Lee, how's your girl?
Well, she's still wearing a ring while giving a massage, so I'm now doubting if she's actually been certified by the AMTA.
Let's ask massage expert Robert Kraft. Seems legit to me.
I will call for backup.
Lee, the man is 4 feet tall. Let's go over there and bust him right now.
I know being an adorable loudmouth dumbass minus the adorable part is Carter's brand, but does he not know how gangs work? Ricky Tan doesn't have to be built like Chris Hemsworth to be surrounded by men who will peel your skin off and wear it as a bikini.
Given that fact, Carter is also a detective for the Los Angeles Police Department. Now, I don't want to brag or anything, but our police are particularly good at killing guilty people. Just saying, he's pretty well trained.
I'm sorry, man. Oh, y'all look alike.
Look, I would stop to send this movie every time it thinks that racial humor is hilarious, but YouTube doesn't allow our videos to be over 12 hours long.
Might want to read the room, buddy. Racial humor not only was funny as hell then, it does gangbusters now. Just ask this popsicle stick.
No wonder you mad.
You see, it's funny because he's saying his dick is small.
Right? What's the problem? Granted, I know male body shaming is normalized, but I also laugh at fat women jokes. I'm truly egalitarian.
But also, and you're going to have to trust me on this, there is a single frame in this movie where you can actually see this man's dangler, and I've studied it enough to say that this man has at least average length. So off with your joke that is now proven to be distasteful and inaccurate.
Huffing that copium, aren't you?
Flip me!
What?
Flip me!
Horizontally, vertically, rotationally, if I've learned anything in this life, it's that you have to be specific about that when you're in the heat of the moment.
Context would determine that if you're holding someone's legs at the ankles... Now, who am I kidding? You bribed your wife with tapioca on croutons.
Unrehearsed, synchronized ass kickings.
This is like sending Oppenheimer for the explosion scene or the Marvels for the sing speak. You don't send peak.
I ain't never been humiliated and embarrassed like that in my whole entire life.
Money Talks erasure.
Money Talks starred Chris Tucker. This is James Carter, a character in a film. I know this seems like a simple concept, but Jeremy doesn't seem to be able to distinguish a character from the actor playing the character.
When the last time you had a date? Huh? Let's hear it, Lee. The year of the rat?
Considering this movie was 2001, the last year of the rat was only 5 years ago. A better insult would have been the year of the horse, or even goat, which has the added benefit of sounding like you were accusing them of some sort of animal husbandry as well.
Yes, but A, 5 years is a long-ass time to be involuntary celibate, and B, the word rat is funnier than horse or goat, which demonstrates why you make YouTube videos and even people like Brett Ratner can write funnier stuff than you.
You'll never understand me.
You right, because I don't even understand what you just said to me right then.
I don't think he meant that in a linguistic sense, Carter. I think Lee was referring to the fact that you'll never understand him as a person as a way for the movie to create character tension, and oh, he was being racist again, wasn't he? Man, sometimes it's just so hard to pick out the nuance of such masterfully subtle writing.
I think it's really funny that CinemaSins went into Rush Hour 2 and expected masterful, subtle writing. It's also really funny that he thinks we are also as offended as he is at these jokes, which could be biting social commentary in the way which people consume media these days. I mean, the right acts like little bitches every time a white dude isn't the hero, and the left melt down whenever a white dude is the hero. What I'm saying is, if CinemaSins is trying to watch this movie like current audiences do, then they're doing a hell of a job and deserve a send off. The only problem is, they're not doing that.
Ricky Tan goes through all the trouble of getting Hu Lee to smuggle a bomb into a police station.
Ricky Tan goes through all the trouble of getting to nurse to smuggle a bomb? What?
Can you direct me to Heaven on Earth massage parlor, please?
This movie is 84 minutes long without credits and somehow thinks it has time for this bumble in the Hong Kong Bronx.
I don't know if you realize, but 84 minutes is an hour and 24 minutes long. That's barely feature length, meaning without these comedic scenes in this comedy movie, it would be extremely short. If anything, this movie does have time for this.
I will slap you if you don't move this car.
Vicino?
I'ma slap you.
Vicino?
I'ma slap you.
I wonder if they thought that by the third time he said it, it would get funny.
This is quite literally one of the most popular scenes in the film. This 360p DVD rip of this scene on YouTube has nearly 3 times the views as this video does. I'm just saying, man, you really should speak for yourself.
I see me and you downstairs in one of those bathrooms in about 5 minutes.
Telling someone you own the yacht and then suggesting sex in a bathroom instead of the bedroom suite.
I don't know, man. This line definitely works in Miami.
Wait a second, I know you. Stephen Rain, right? You own half of Los Angeles.
Carter's boner leads him to a crucial player in the movie, as if the damn thing is a plot-divining rod.
Jeremy says boner. Twice.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Using direct word-for-word callbacks for cheap laughs.
As opposed to indirect callbacks for expensive laughs?
Hu Lee decides not to shoot Lee.
Fox decides to not shoot Lee? Listen, I know she's beautiful, but there's no need for sexist euphemisms, Mr. This movie is racist.
And the director said, we're out of apples, but if you could have Rain conveniently be spotted flicking a cigarette he just lit into the open ocean, I think I might be able to convince the audience he's an asshole.
Not to ruin your whole running gag that no one understands, but this is not the open ocean, it's a bay. In China. What I'm saying is that cig was probably the cleanest thing dumped into that water.
I'm out of here.
Carter, Ricky Tan set up my father.
Leaving your car in a zone that is for loading and unloading only just because you have some sudden sentimental expositioning to do.
I've been to many airports. Trust me when I say, not only is this the least busy passenger loading zone I've ever seen, this is also probably the shortest time a car will ever be parked in one.
So you coming or what?
Why LA?
Mostly because that's where the industry is, so it makes the filming process easier. Oh, you meant a story reason. Story.
But see, this is where you messed up, because Hong Kong movies are extremely prolific, and it would be cheaper to film there in 2001. But that's not the sin. The sin is for that smoker's laugh.
Slow down, baby.
Turning Jackie Chan into a creepo when you've already spent so much time establishing that this is Chris Tucker's job.
Objection. No straight man sees Rosalind Sanchez stripping into black lace lingerie and resists getting bricked up. I'd argue straight women see Rosalind Sanchez and get bricked up.
Look like somebody dropping off a package. Wait a minute. Look like the same girl who dropped off the package at your office. It's a bomb!
The amount of convenience and conclusion jumping that's needed for these two to jump conveniently to that conclusion so quickly is honestly right on par for this movie, but we don't give points for that kind of consistency.
Normally I would... Wait, what was that? That attempt at pronouncing the word jumping, but I was laughing so hard at your pronunciation that I forgot what funny video I'd used to make fun of you with.
I'm an undercover agent for the United States Secret Service.
Well, how do we know that? Show me a badge right now. Here you go.
I'm trying to think of a single other time this miniature bra badge would have been useful except for this exact scenario. Does the movie really want me to believe this is an actual thing? Or that she had it with her and took the time to fasten it on before coming up here?
Yes? I mean, this is a series where the cops and villains know kung fu. I feel like this type of logic flew out the window the moment Jackie Chan signed on to the film. I think you're thinking of Donnie Yen.
Well, you need to tell us what's going on.
She does not, but she will.
I mean, she kinda does. This is Los Angeles, and this is his jurisdiction as an LAPD detective. At worst, it's a professional courtesy.
There's only one way to spot a fake.
Is it that the eagle logo on the left doesn't fill enough of the circle? Or that you can't see the 100 in the upper left corner? Or maybe it's that the Ben Franklin portrait looks like he's had an allergic reaction to a bee sting?
You make fun of this fake money, but fun fact, this movie money was so realistic, members of the crew successfully used some of it to make purchases, and the actual United States Secret Service stepped in to confiscate it, literally mirroring the events of this movie.
What you doing in here, James?
Being Don Cheadle and choosing to do this movie after Boogie Nights and Traffic. Well, at least he would go on to do Hotel Rwanda and then never get stuck in a money-hungry franchise ever again.
Why would Don Cheadle, an actor, take a role in the sequel to a financially and critically successful film?
Money!
Parking like this in LA. I don't mean the legality. I just mean the idea of parking anywhere in LA this easily, illegally, or otherwise, and then leaving your fancy convertible wide open to any passerby.
I literally do all those things, being from LA and driving a convertible Corvette. Trust me, we know when and where we can do this. Just don't wear a Marlins hat and you'll be fine. Most of the time.
Making all these bullshit plot devices this fragile just so they could spill out their bullshit for the audience to see.
I don't understand the criticism here. These statues are hollow, with their specific purpose being to smuggle counterfeit money. Did you expect them to be as tough as Tenactin?
That's how you launder $100 million in cash.
This means that the last half an hour of movie time could have been saved if you skipped the Kenny nonsense and just sat down with a list of Rain holdings until you found out he owns a casino called the Red Dragon and is planning a grand opening. You know, putting the detect part of detective to work for once.
Yeah, but this also worked. The criticism is weird when you're saying the thing they should have done brings them to the same conclusion as the thing they did do. Besides, Carter isn't working in an official capacity here, as we don't see the LAPD offering him assistance, and this is Vegas. You're asking him to search out-of-state public records for a brand new casino, and as a business owner myself, let me tell you, there's a reason we get LLCs, and it's for the 2 L's.
I'm gonna need black, 42 long, and nothing touches this body but pure silk.
Carter derails him with pointless side quests so many times in this movie, and I'm sick of Lee acting like it's no big deal and in no way affecting his chances of avenging the death of his father.
That may be true, but this is not an instance of that. They were in a sewer and need clean clothes in order to infiltrate a fancy casino's grand opening. You could make the case they don't need these specific clothes, but they do need some clothes.
What size is the waist? Let's go in.
Hey! Watch your sweetness.
Ah, gay panic. When so many other kinds of distasteful jokes fell by the mainstream wayside, you made it all the way into the 21st century. It's truly impressive.
So, let me stand on a soapbox here. Art does not have to conform to your politics. Oh, I need to elaborate further? Okay. If an artist wants to depict a character as having less than savory morality, the artist should be allowed the freedom to do so. Otherwise, that's artistic censorship, and I'm not comfortable with that. I think people have forgotten what fiction means, and they attempt to place fictional stories in the context of their reality, which is a failure to understand what it means to be fiction. This is why people lamenting Disney Star Wars cracks me up. Fiction can be whatever we want it to be, and it doesn't say anything about the artist other than they have an imagination. I think it's telling that you don't acknowledge Lee in the scene, as he doesn't seem to have a problem with Jeremy Piven's character, meaning the filmmakers were showing 2 different reactions to a gay person. You only focused on the one that doesn't fit your morals, which tells me you're one of those people that watches movies through whatever political lens you happen to follow, instead of trying to understand what the artists are trying to say. I know this to be the case because earlier you got upset when Carter attempted to grab a woman without her consent, but are now upset at a man flinching at being grabbed without his consent. That would have been a much better observation, showing how hypocritical Carter behaves, but that would take more insight than you've got.
Look, it's security all over the place. If you're gonna do this, you're gonna need a distraction, all right?
Thinking that the hundreds of cameras in a casino are susceptible to being distracted.
Then it's a good thing he said security and not security cameras, unless you think CCTVs are capable of stopping a motivated Inspector Lee, in which case the stabbings in the UK make no sense.
We got Lionel Richie performing here tonight.
Lionel Richie ain't been black since the Commodores, man.
I'm not sure if this is colorism or gatekeeping, but I am sure that this movie continues to confuse cringe with comedy.
The only thing cringe here is your attempt at keeping up with political talking points. I mean, colorism? Fam, if you're going to do this, at least spend more than a day on Black Twitter. He's not talking about his skin color, he's talking about culture, which would make it closer to your gatekeeping quip, but even then, I'd argue sometimes gatekeeping is a good thing. The lack of gatekeeping is how the grifters get in.
只要我轻轻一按， 你32颗顽皮的牙就会崩进你的脑袋。
Assuming that someone still has their wisdom teeth.
Yeah, but if she only said 28 and he still did have his wisdom teeth, he'd be all like, I've got more than that, and she'd be all sad and stuff, and then the movie would end with her being so dejected after having been foiled by 4 extra teeth that...
Oh look, it's the sexy leg kick stalemate move. Very common in the martial arts style of Taekwondo do directed it though.
See what I mean? Viewing this through the lens of feminism makes you think like this instead of the actual intention, which was, holy shit, this is cool, and they're giving the female characters cool moments. It's so weird. People on the left look at old movies and cry sexism, and people on the right look at the same movies and cry woke. Honestly, we'd all be better off if you people just shut the fuck up.
You don't know nothing about this, do you? Egyptian style, girl.
The first Rush Hour had its moments, but this sequel feels like all the effort and creativity stopped after let's start the movie in Hong Kong.
He's still sending a comedy movie featuring Chris Tucker for being a comedy movie featuring Chris Tucker. I still can't quite put my finger on why he dislikes this guy specifically.
It smells good.
I can't remember a time when I more actively rooted for the apparent good guy to lose a fight and be murdered very slowly. Please, somebody tell me why we're watching Chris Tucker in this goofy fight using whatever objects are at hand instead of Jackie Chan. It's literally his whole thing.
See what I mean? He has such a specific disdain for Chris that even when he's doing the same cool shit he was praising Jackie for earlier, he's still not good enough for Jeremy of CinemaSins.
So did she just have this bomb lying around in case of emergency? Or did she take some time out to wire it all up after she got stabbed in the chest?
Like, her whole thing is explosives. That's her literal introduction in the film. She had a bomb that specifically fit in someone's mouth like 10 minutes earlier. It's not unfeasible that she had other explosive devices somewhere nearby, my dude.
Jackie, kick it.
Okay, Chris Tucker!
Jackie, kick it.
Jackie again?
Your usual Jackie Chan is a badass outtakes package now also gets to include a lot of Chris Tucker is bad at his job as well. Yay for us, I guess.
All right, I'm just gonna say it. This motherfucker's racist.
You want some of me? I'm finna give you a LAPD ass kicking. That was unnecessary. You done knocked out my feeling, girl. That's gonna cost you. Watch your back.